Lobau is good with people. So how do we do this to where he can help the world this way? But I think teachers are in a bad position right now because you can't do that for every, 1 out of 20 or 2 out of 20 or 3 out of 20. It doesn't matter. Like, you've got a job to do. You've got this boss that tells you don't care about this. Just care about the damn numbers. And that, I don't know. What do you think about that? Like, and then we'll go back to your journey. Sorry. I do this every time.
It's okay. You warned me.
Yeah, exactly.
No, here's what I will say. From the bottom of my heart, thank you, Mr. Howard, for doing what you did for Lobau, because think about the ripple effect that the extra time he took to empower you, 99% of teachers aren't going to do that. And so what I'll say is, for anyone who's listening, there's some recent statistics that I saw that as many as 7 out of 10 employees have some sort of an invisible disability. So people are on a journey where they're struggling. They're not always going to talk about it, or you may not even be able to tell.
Right.
But if someone takes the same approach as Mr. Howard did with Lobau and let them know that you see their strengths, it's going to literally change the world. You talked about this at the beginning, that like the solution is friendship. The solution is support.
Yeah.
And that's why in my coaching and then in the consulting I'm doing for corporations is, let's look at it instead of, okay, this is going to be great. Watch Ryan just bring this all together in an ADHD way.
Yes.
So, you know how you went to that educational institution and you went like day after day after day?
Yeah.
It reminds me of the story of Rudy, right? So like, it's like, kid, you're too small. Like we're going to crush you.
Favorite movie.
Yeah. So here's an interesting take on it. One of the books on my shelf is Strengths Finder 2.0. And it talks about the story of Rudy Rudiger. So in case anyone's not sure, the movie Rudy is based on a real person. But anyway, it talks about how we tend to root for the underdog. But let's think about, what if Rudy, instead of going out for the team, so like, yes, he makes the team, he's in one play, and that's it. Well, he invested hundreds, if not thousands of hours doing that. What if we could have instead say like, hey, here's all your weaknesses. What if we took it over to the strengths?
Yeah.
So, okay, you're not built to be a football player. What if you go to student government, or you play intramurals, or you do whatever? So my point here, for those of you who are either teachers, parents, friends, managers, leaders of any kind, try to focus on the strengths someone brings into your circle, into your life. And if you can help to encourage their strengths like Mr. Howard did for Lobau, that's going to change everything, because our systems are set up in a way where we're trying to make everyone the same. Like, oh, you're weak in this, so let's focus on that and that and that and that and that. Okay, why? Like, that course that I had the breakdown in, I'm never going to go into accounting. Yeah. I could have told you that when I was 14.
Right.
So like, the point is, focus on strengths. Okay, I'm done now.
Absolutely. Okay, so am I good? You've actually helped me stop interrupting, which is great. Who is your coach, Howard?
My wife. Because, so this is perfect.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Perfect question. Because here's how it went. Ryan, in like, I'm going to say typical ADHD fashion. So like, I'm at that job that I was just telling you about where he's like, sit down. And it was like such a pressure cooker, not a good fit. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
This was before I met my wife. My parents, like I said, super supportive. They're like, Ryan, that's so unhealthy. Like, that's not a good place to be. Just get out of there. So through networking through my alma mater, I ended up getting connected with another business leader. He knew me already. He's like, Ryan, I know you, I know your family. Like, if you want the job, it's yours.
Yeah.
Like, how amazing that is. Well, he ends up going to greener pastures with another company. So then the next manager doesn't really know who I am. Long story short, that one doesn't work out. And neither do the next 4 or 5 jobs.
Oh shit.
So it's like I keep going into these jobs where I come in hot. I'm like,
Right.
this is going to be the one. How many times have people said that? Like,
Yeah.
we genuinely believe, like, okay, I can make this one work. And every sales job that I would join, Lobau, it's like, you have unlimited earning potential, like uncapped commissions, whatever. So I would overlook the parts of the job that were probably going to be kind of an Achilles heel for me.
Right.
And instead only focused on the ones that I would be good at. So I would come in and befriend everyone. I'd come in like guns blazing. Everyone's like so impressed, like, oh my gosh, this new guy is like so enthusiastic, whatever.
Yeah.
But then I could almost predict it. It was like between months like 4 and 5, people are kind of less impressed. Like the shininess has worn off. Like, okay, we get it. You're charming. You're friendly.
That's
you're
jealousy.
enthusiastic.
That's jealousy.
Fair enough. Same time though, it's like I kept trying to advocate for myself of like, no, I can really be this way. I need you to help me in these areas where I'm weak.
Right.
So long story short, I wasn't a good fit in corporate. And I, as I like to say, I kept being liberated, like spit back out with the proverbial box saying like, pack your things and leave. And so, of course, for anyone who's ever been
ridiculous. I'm sorry. Like,
yeah,
it's so ridiculous.
Yeah.
Like
anyone who's ever been fired from a job knows, like, it's such a blow to your self-esteem. And so I was, in a pretty dark place for a long time. And for those of us who are wired as neurodivergent, we are 3 times as likely to have other co-occurring conditions, like anxiety and depression, which, as I say to my clients and my audiences, is that really any surprise?
Yeah.
Because we have depression around all the things we've messed up leading up to this
100%.
point. And then we have anxiety because we really hope we don't do it again.
Yeah.
So there I am in this really dark place. And then 2 things happened. One was my wife says to me, I'll never forget, we were like getting ready for bed, and per usual, she's already in bed, like ready to go to sleep, and I'm still like doing whatever. I'm like I'm like fussing around with whatever. And so this is how usually almost every night goes. She's talking with me while I'm like getting stuff ready and like finally brushing my teeth, whatever. So anyway, she's like, Ryan, it's so hard for me to see you this sad.
Yeah.
And she's like, your family and I, like, again, my parents, my brother and sister, everyone's super supportive. We're very tight family. And they're like, she said, they're all worried about you, and so am I. And like, this isn't like you. I mean,
Yeah.
even though even though this is the first time we've met, like, you've
Right.
seen me, like, that's the one thing about my content.
And I've honestly seen this entire spiel before. I just want to know about you, literally, like legitimately. I care about the person with the ADHD. This is not some sort of promotion or whatever. I just care about you. Like that's all it is.
Exactly.
And go ahead.
I'll interrupt your interruption.
Excellent. Okay, I love that.
Hey, you want epic? We'll bring it. So she says to me,
"You're amazing."
And this is the question. This is the Mr. Howard question that changed my life forever. Dramatic pause for effect. Ryan, if you could do anything, what would you do? Because clearly these other things that you've been working on, like they're not a good fit for you. And I was so stubborn that I like wouldn't admit that. And in that moment, like I was willing to admit that I was wrong. Like, okay, that's not going to be my thing. So then it was what's weird is for how scattered our brains are. When she asked me that question, I had like perfect clarity. Exactly.
Blinders.
And
Yep.
that was my own sound effect, everyone, by the way. I went right back to two 2 years before that. I had been at the first time I'd ever gone to the International ADHD conference in 2018. And I had, by total happenstance, I feel like it was kind of meant to be destiny kind of thing. But I get introduced to the founder and president of the Attention Deficit Disorder Coaching Association, which now that I'm saying it, kind of mind blowing because that's how I ended up meeting Dorsey, who introduced me to you. And here we are. But anyway,
Right.
yeah. So he and I had one of those conversations, kind of like what you and I are having right now, where it's like
Right.
we may have never met, but we've always been connected. And you just like, I always like to say, this is a quotable. The depth of friendship is not measured by the breadth of friendship. So like,
You love him.
Killing
That's
his
what
kindness.
happens.
That's
Yeah.
a thing.
Yeah.
Turns out.
So much love.
Oh,
So
fuck
much
all of
love.
you.
Oh, I know.
That's a different level.
So
of love.
there's a
We'll
lake
get
back there. He may not do another episode. So you fuck off. So
I love it.
for Leo, I think that the one of the biggest things is putting yourself out there for certain things. I mean, you've just said it of me, but I think like you've just come for a conference to get here first, and you're putting out a brand new kind of idea. You're writing about it as well as then developing it and talking to different people, talking to people in different countries. You're actually doing it. And yes, you've said it about me with going out there and with countries, but you are being multifaceted in a specific thing that you've identified, want to attack it, use the connections that you have, that you've then created more. I mean, you even at the conference bumped into someone who is a user of something you're doing already, which kind of shows that it's working or that it's getting out there. So the fact that you're making those connections, you're getting out and doing it for things that we don't even know at this point how far and wide they could potentially go. Being able to actually have confidence in yourself, because that's a big thing. That because I think, and this is hard for a lot of people to understand. So I can only bring it back on myself in terms of this. My insecurity is high as fuck. Like I don't have that same amount of confidence most of the time to do that for me. So in my mind, that's a big thing, because I'm confident enough in the things that I can do, but that's not me that I have the confidence in. And I think that's a really big thing if you suffer from mental health, to have not just the confidence in something you're doing, but the confidence in yourself to be able to do it. So I'm definitely proud of you to be able to latch hold of your own confidence in yourself with your skill to then push it forward.
So I want to bring this back for 1 second to this guy right here, because he actually met me when I was not able to do that very well at all. And actually being on his podcast was one of the first things that unlocked that for me, because he just reached out and was like, hey, come talk to me on this podcast about ADHD, because it was something that I was learning about myself. And he was willing to make that first step. And one of the things I've taken from that is I really try to be the first step for others that I would have liked to have. And that all comes, again, back to the friendship that gets formed, and people have confidence in you, and you're able to take that confidence and, put that out into the world, and people see it as like, oh, wow, that's really impressive. But it all starts with friendship. Everything stems from friendship.
It does. It's a domino effect. You care about one person, they care about someone else, then they care about two other people, 3, 4, 6, 10, 190,000. Who, I mean, the sky's the limit if you give a fuck about the person. Like, that's it. Honestly, thank you. That was the best compliment I ever received in my whole life. But I appreciate that. Anything else anyone would like to say about each other before we close this off?
I mean, I think you need to chime in with what you're proud of the three of us. I mean, you got to put it back out. That's
you can leave me out of that one.
No, actually, go ahead and start with up.
I think I'll start with up.
Yeah.
I am most proud of you for oh God, I know it hurts, but this will be good. I'm most proud of you
Mindfulness.
for reaching out and at least giving me a chance to talk to you every day. Just giving me a chance, just one chance to be like, you know what? I like the guy. I'd like to talk to him every day while he's going through a downtime. You gave me a chance. That not a lot of people do that. And I am most proud of you for giving this stupid Southerner a chance. It's been a lot, but also in terms of your characteristics, I'm also proud of you for proving me the fuck wrong with every goddamn conversation we have. But I'm also the most proud of you because I think you have a heart beyond anyone's conscionable thought. I know you hate it. I know you do, but you do. You do.
That's your interpretation of reality.
Hey, we're in America. We know an enlarged heart when we see one.
Good. That was good. That was good. Little Debbie.
Oh, thanks to Little Debbie's
Oh my God.
lubricants.
Little Debbie, if you want to sponsor, Little Debbie sponsor the podcast.
Fuck yes.
I'll
Yes.
They are glitteringly delicious.
I'm not finished on the proud of thing here, though, with Up. After Little Debbie's. No, I mean, you've shown me a world that I never knew existed, which was like somewhere outside of where I live, the country outside of where I live. You gave me an education and actually taught me things about mindfulness that I would never, ever, I hate classrooms. I hate them.
Okay, I don't want to get something on the record here.
Sorry, I love you.
No, you're good.
But I've never had a teacher that actually listened when I said, by the way, I can't be in a classroom. Fuck you for this. I'm not doing this. And then you're like, okay, well, how about this? And shifted roles to make me, the student, understand something that I never would have without you. It's impossible to teach me. Impossible.
And so that's why I want to get this on the record for just a second. I heard a rumor that he actually got you to open up a book willingly. Did that happen? I was a bit skeptical.
I opened it.
Hey, that's an achievement that nobody else on earth has. So well done.
I
opened it.
What I'm going to say back immediately is, for anyone that's ever got a teacher that's any good, teachers don't teach you anything. You're teaching yourself. In the same way that I've always said to people, if you're going into a gym to work out and to improve on a better you don't thank the person that just shows you where the weights are. And that's all I did, and that's all I would do for anybody, is show them where the weights are. It is up to you to pick them up, to use them, to develop yourself in that way. So just because you've had bad teachers doesn't make me a great one. You can learn from anybody. It's just if they're willing to allow you to learn from yourself, which is the main point. That's not down to the teacher.
But that's
down
a characteristic, man. Like,
down to you.
It all goes back to instilling confidence in people.
Yeah,
to be able
to do
that.
It does. But I love you.
Thank you for showing me where the weights are up.
I love you. You're good. You're a great guy.
I'm still looking for the weights, but I'll figure out one of these things.
So RJ, what I'm most proud of RJ for is so I drink a lot. Okay, not that I'm most proud of you for for that, but RJ has shown me a way to kind of curtail. Is it curtail?
Yeah,
Okay.
perfect use. Of the word.
Holy shit! I
Yeah.
got something in.
Look,
You.
That's
open
osmosis.
books. Uses words like curtail.
He took the first page of that book as well.
I highlighted curtail. That was it. I just remember that. And you also helped me like understand that it doesn't have to be 1,000% balls to the wall every single day. You can still be balls to the wall with limits that can make you feel the same as if you are going balls to the wall. I desperately need that in my life. And no one's ever been able to show me that but you. So I'm extremely proud of you for catering your teachings and what you're doing with the alcohol-free program and all of that. But more so, I'm going to be conceited here. Like, the fucker helped me. Like, that's it. And not a lot of people can, and that's why we're friends. That's that's literally what it is. And now I know I don't have to go all out every single time. I need to find something that makes me feel like I'm going all out every single time without the disastrous side effects.
I was very much the sort of agony aunt within that friend group. So I was the one that they would come to, and when they were feeling low, I would be the one that tried to lift them up, kind of thing. And I struggled quite a while with accepting the fact that if someone wants to go, there's like you cannot physically change their mind. Like there's things you can do to help. You can try and you can do things, and they can get help from other places. But I very much took the responsibility of her death, because I was like, okay, I'm the one that can help, but I couldn't in that situation. So I was like 15, like I didn't know what to do.
Lobau Spark is proudly supported by Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. It is now also supported by 14 anonymous supporters. And I understand that completely. I know I can swear and all that kind of shit. If you want to support it and be anonymous, I get it. I get it. Whether you want to be mentioned by name or remain anonymous, this podcast does not exist without all of you. And I love you.
Yeah, exactly. And so I struggled with quite a while with like not being able to physically help. And that's one of the reasons I was like, okay, I want to learn how to help people. So like, although I can't, you can't physically change people's minds sometimes you can help, you can try, which is what's the important part, that's why I kind of went into that, because I was like, okay, I want to be someone that can help and has the knowledge to be able to help.
Yeah, I think for a lot of time it's the case that you're not changing their mind yourself. What you're doing is keeping them going until they have chance to change their own mind.
Yeah.
Because in the moment, and that moment can change. They can be suicidal in one. This is something that NCIS and CSI and everything else gets fucking wrong all the time. When they go, oh, this person has bought frozen food, therefore they were clearly murdered. No, that's not how somebody that, the amount of times I've seen shit like that. That's not how someone with suicidal depression works. It's the case that
Very up and down.
they could have started the day on an absolute high and wanted to end it, and then they'll go to sleep and be fine again. It's so you are just basically keeping them going until then, and trying to make sure that they can bolster themselves against the next time they go down. So so what was the kind of full title of your degree, and what did it kind of involve?
It was called Counselling, Coaching and Mentoring. Realistically, I don't remember anything from it, not gonna lie.
Always worrying.
It was over 2 years ago now. I remember obviously how to can't even think. I haven't thought about it in a while. My job doesn't really use it, so my brain's just full of crap that isn't anything to do with that really. But it was very much just focused on, I can't even think of an example. Uni's great.
I mean, I have a stupid memory, so I don't have this issue. But
Yeah.
it is interesting because the only thing I remember from your course is how upset they made you.
Oh,
Was the irony of the course.
it was awful. It was awful.
So
Right.
yeah, go on, please.
Story of them. Basically, it was a course that was obviously very much focused on mental health, and we had to make a poster about some specific theory at the time. And they're like, okay, when you present this, you're going to be presenting it in a group of like 4 or 5 people. So we're going to have little groups. And for someone who's not very good at talking in front of people, like myself, I was like, okay, can we choose the 4 or 5 people kind of thing? And they were like, yeah, that's fine. You can get yourself into your groups. You can just present to that people and the teachers. And we were like, or lecturers. And I was like, yeah, that's okay. I can present to the people that I know, and it's all good. And there was lots and lots of other people in the class that were very similar to that. And then we turned up on the day with our posters and that, ready to do our, like, I think they said 2-minute presentation it was meant to be. And it was basically, we were going up one at a time in front of the whole like course, which was like 40 people. And they had people from the year above that were doing the same course and other lecturers in there. And we were like, why would you not tell us this? Like, if you want us to present to that amount, we need to prepare. Like, some people aren't going to be able to do it. And I wasn't even the worst one. Like, there was my friend who was next to me who was physically like crying her eyes out about the fact that she had to do this. And I was just like sitting there like, oh, this is a mental health thing. You're seeing people are upset. And these lecturers were just like, yeah, you can do it. You can do it. And it's like, no.
Yeah, I mean,
it was crazy.
for a course that's literally on mental health, and anyone wondering, oh yeah, but there's just a few extra people, you obviously don't suffer from social anxiety. You know, from anybody that's suffering social anxiety, generalized anxiety, anything like that, and then it's completely changed for you. I mean, even
last minute.
I mean, even anybody that has that has some form of ASD or anything like that, it's a change in something that you weren't expecting, because I was working obviously at a different department, different school of the university. The first thing I knew about it is you coming in crying, and
yeah, I was like, oh my god, what can I do? Who can help? Adam.
I had to kind of be big brother and kind of go a little bit on the warpath against a department that because I worked for the business school. The business school should not have to come to the rescue of a student that's doing a mental health course. And we were the ones that were actually better on mental health. And you know, we had a few lecturers that actually were very good with mental health, but we had to deal with the mental health and try and then come over to the mentoring side and go, what the fuck are you doing? Which is insane. The idea that, you know, if anything, the nursing, the mentoring, the mental health, those are the psychology, those are the departments that you should be going to from other courses, not the ones that other people are coming to you for. And it is kind of crazy. And how did that kind of continue for you? And did you ever think about kind of progressing with it anymore? Or did it kind of put you off completely?
It just made me not want to deal with the lecturers anymore, really. Because they basically said, I asked about it. It was they basically, but because of all of the drama and everything that happened, obviously they got from the business lot that like, why have you done that? They did a little class with the people who didn't do it. So there was about 7 or 8 of us who were like, I can't do this, and left. So they did a little class of that, and they sort of let us do our own presentations as they said they were originally going to. And I asked them like, why did that happen? Why did it change? And the lecturer said to me, we said last year that this is how we were going to do it. And because that people thought they were going to be presenting in front of lots of people, people didn't turn up. So we told you that it was smaller amounts of people, so you would turn up and do it.
So we did something
awful.
Actively engaged to cause anxiety in a course. What the flying fuck? I really want to call the university off, and I would do on my podcast, but this is not my podcast. I know Lobel's probably going to watch this and be like, "I know you could have done it, but I can't because it's not my podcast." But you, university, you know exactly who the fuck you are, and you know that I don't give a shit. But my podcast. Go over. Anyone's wondering, and Lobel won't mind me doing this. It's Good to Talk podcast. Go over to that. I mentioned that university more than once. In fact, I mentioned specific lecturers because fuck them. And that's specifically up for the challenge. Nothing to do with anything else. Me, okay, me. Anyway, that should be in my mind. That should be a firing offence if you're on a course that does mentoring and is around mental health. You don't go. Basically, we've decided to lie to you, induce anxiety that another school of the university has to try and deal with because you are worried people won't turn up. How about just
find a different way of actually getting the results of the course. And that obviously doesn't work.
I think realistically, if they would have actually done what they said they were going to do with the small groups, all of us, or at least most of us, would have been completely fine.
Yeah.
It was the fact that it was like we weren't even told that there was a change. It was just sort of happening.
Yeah.
And we were just like, this isn't what we were told was going to happen.
No, it's that. I mean, it's just unacceptable.
Not good.
Yeah. Did that? So, were you ever thinking of like going and progressing on in terms of counselling and doing that as something, or did you kind of get put off of the idea?
I don't think it really put me off of it. I think just learning more about counselling in general put me off of it, because I like the idea of helping people, but specifically counselling is very, very hardcore. And I know that with my past mental health struggles, I would struggle dealing with someone who was very suicidal and things like that, because I've dealt with people like that in the past. And I know that if I was trying to counsel someone that was going through that sort of thing, I could let my own biases come into it. And obviously I was a bit like, it's very, very likely if you're doing counselling, you're going to come across people that are like that. And I was like, I don't want that to then make me go downhill again, because I didn't want to go into that same cycle of thinking I could help and then getting upset when I can't help.
As a lifestyle, yes. But even more specifically, I made a video series called Weird Shit That I Do that apparently everybody else does too. And, the first one, they're like, oh, that's cute. What a quirky guy. And then by like the fourth or fifth video, they were like, hey, Dave. And I think you might have ADHD and anxiety. I'm like, no, I'm just a weirdo. That's all. It's fine. They said, you should really get that checked out. And at the same time, around this time frame, I was having a lot of issues at home, and people telling me like, look, we're trying, not even be patient. We're just trying to understand, but we are not connecting the dots here.
Right.
Either, you don't care, or you just have like missing neurons. And I can't imagine that it's the second one or the first one. So what's going on?
Right.
And I said, fine, I'll go ask. I'll go ask the nice lady.
That's hilarious. I'll at least
so
ask
everyone
the question.
can get off my back. Yeah.
Yeah.
And she told me, we went through a lot of questionnaires and a lot of tests, and I had to talk with nurse practitioners who wanted to analyze my history with substance abuse and what I was going to do with this and how and all that said and done. They said, yeah, you got ADHD, man. And I was like, oh, okay, so what now? And they're like, whatever you want to be now. And I never, again, when someone asks, well, what now that you have a diagnosis, I don't know. I guess go learn, read a book. Shit, I don't know.
Yeah, my thing is, I feel like the stigma of it is the reason that a lot of people are held so down by it, is because all of a sudden they're told that they have it. So they become cautious in the way that they approach being around people and doing this. And people are telling you got this quirk and this quirk, when the bottom line is you've made it through a shit ton of crap in your life, gotten to a certain point because of it, and now you're diagnosed, and now it's like, oh shit. Lobau Spark is proudly supported by Leo Guinan, Kirk Hofstrom, Casey Elliott, Sarah Delano, Justin Allingham, Blushing Crafter, Jamie Young, and Beth Jones. It is now also supported by 14 anonymous supporters. And I understand that completely. I know I can swear and all that kind of shit. If you want to support it and be anonymous, I get it. Whether you want to be mentioned by name or remain anonymous, this podcast does not exist without all of you. And I love you. Where's the oh shit?
I knew it.
Right, exactly. But where it shouldn't be oh shit, it should be, and I hate the word should, but like it explains a lot. but it doesn't mean you have to change who you are.
Yeah. Austin Archer says it's like when you buy a car. You never notice the car on the road until you buy it. And now all of a sudden you see 4 or 5 of that car every day that you drive. When in reality, it wasn't any more or less prevalent than it was before. You just have the foresight to see it now.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's like, I thought it was a Jeep thing when I got my first Wrangler, and I thought I was all cool. Like,
You opened your third eye.
Yeah.
I see him now. The Matrix code is running down the screen.
Hilarious. I love it. So in terms of what you've built, up to this point, you're just diagnosed within the past year. You've obviously done exceptionally well success-wise up until like even prior to being diagnosed. How does being diagnosed now change your personality, if at all?
I think it was something that I learned in AA that I had appreciated, and now it's just reinforced in a different part of my life, which is it's this accountability. I was always having a hard time trying to decide if I should blame only myself or blame everybody else.
Right.
There was no in between, right? There was no in between for me. So accountability, in my opinion, is not just saying this is all my fault. Accountability is just recognizing the reality of where the failures are and saying,
Right.
I'm going to fix what I can fix, and that's the best that I can do.
Exactly.
It's one of the worst things that teachers do. As someone I used to be a teacher. One of the worst things that teachers do is tell people they can't do something or that they're bad at something. If you are a teacher, stop fucking doing that. I had so many people, specifically mathematics. So I've had so many people that I've done maths with, and I've just and they've come to me because, I can't do maths. I'm like, who told you that? And I was like, well, Mr. or Mrs. Why do you believe them? Because that's the only reason, because all that does, and I've done this with people, the only difference between my skill at maths and yours is I know I'm right. That's it. Because most people that think they're bad at maths get the right answer pretty quickly. But then they spend another half an hour thinking, well, there's no way I'm right because I've been told I'm bad at maths. Therefore, there must be something out.
Just a matter of practice and understanding.
I mean, I actually had this with an ex-partner when I was with them. They were training to be a nurse, and they had drug calculations, and they kept getting the same answer. Checked in the book, and it's wrong. And they called me through because I was watching Star Trek, I think. They called me through and were like, "Look, you can do maths. What the hell's going on?" And I just did one look at the book and just went, "There's nothing wrong. You're right. The book's wrong." And they went and told the lecturer at the university, and they were like, "Oh yeah, no, the book's wrong." And I'm like, what the fuck? Because the only difference was I knew I was right. And I think that's the big problem that a lot of teachers do is when they do this, when somebody might be suffering mental health or anything like that, is that they just it's easier to say they're lazy. It's easier to do that because then, I get to spend time with these kids. It's like, if you're a teacher,
students,
if you're a teacher, you're meant to be spending time with everyone. That's the fucking point. In fact, you should probably be spending a little bit more time with people that don't get it because they don't get it. It's on you, it's not on them. My mini rant over.
Yeah, you asked if it's having long-term effects.
Yes, yeah.
But it definitely has because, again, the academic issues that tend to come with ADHD in general, I definitely ended up having to face as well. And so because of my poor grades and the lack of guidance that I received, plus I had a really difficult home life at the time, I had no guidance and no ability academically, at least I thought, to really make anything of myself after I graduated high school. So I went on and graduated high school with like the bare minimum passing grades, and went on to college. And that is where I found something that I did actually find interesting because I could pick a narrow subject. And I ended up graduating that with honors versus the like absolute bottom of the barrel minimum in high school. But because I hadn't had pretty much any guidance, and I had problems with depression and suicidal ideation through high school. I didn't really plan for what I would do if I made it out of high school. I kind of always had this expectation that I wasn't going to survive that long.
Right.
And so once I did, I was like, oh crap, I gotta actually do something now. And picked something that felt right, that I was interested in, but it turned out that as a career, I wasn't particularly, to explain it a little further, I wanted to be an elementary school teacher because I wanted actually to help the kids that have been in my position. And after working in the American school system for a little while, I quickly found that unless you're a higher up, you can make some differences in the individual kids' lives, but on a larger level, you can't. There's nothing that can really be done structurally. Teachers have no say, and I kind of knew that going in anyway. But it was really discouraging, and so I did not end up finishing that entire degree. I finished with an associate's and then quit that path. But because of that general lack of guidance and the depression that became kind of a cycle as a result of the comorbid anxiety and ADHD and everything, once I got through high school, I was left without pretty much any career direction in general. And it's taken until my mid-20s to kind of start figuring it out. And I wouldn't say I have it figured out. And a lot of people don't, especially now with the way that everything is, careers aren't really as much of a thing anymore anyway. So it's kind of harder to be that narrow. But
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, the amount of times, granted, I am older than you, but the amount of times I have the comment to me of like, what haven't you done? Because like you say, careers on a thing. I've been a teacher. I've been a martial arts and self-defense instructor. I have been, I've worked in security. I have worked as a chef. But the thing is that I didn't do those for like, these are, I think people kind of think, oh, you did them for like 2 weeks. Like, no, I spent like 2 years in these professions or more. I mean, self-defense and martial arts been doing as an instructor for several years now. Still do it when people ask, but as you say, career isn't really the thing. So you sometimes will just go, well, I can do this and I can do this and I can do this, because you're trying to find yourself, you're trying to pick up the skills as well. And I think, yeah, it is strange. I think for people younger, from my perspective, people younger kind of go, okay, like that makes sense. You make sense. You've done this and this and that. Cool. To older people looking down, it's just like, just do one thing. It's like it's not how it works. It's just you don't, even if you're the best employee at a certain place, at some point you want to move because there's more money somewhere else, or you have aspirations of doing something better, or there's so many different things and reasons you might move on to do something else. I mean, I worked at a university. I had no plans in working for a university. I worked for a university at one point. Then I've done voiceover, and if anyone hasn't noticed, I do sound a little bit radio when I want to. I've done voiceover for things. I've done script writing because it's interesting. I mean, I think that's probably something that someone with ADHD, and actually across the board, I think there's more of a creative flow with people that have mental health issues. I think there's just I think our brains are just wired a little bit different.
Or something. But I rolled my Tahoe 8 times on the interstate.
Jesus.
Yeah. I was in a rush. I was speeding. My friend who I worked with actually passed away when I was on vacation, and the day I came back was the day of his viewing, and I went into, that's why I was in a rush to begin with, and I wasn't wearing my seatbelt the whole car ride, and it's so crazy because like a mile before I wrecked, I put my seatbelt on. I don't remember the accident, but I took out 3 trees and impaled the car on a 4th tree up off the interstate. Fire department actually had to cut the tree down to get to me. They thought I was ejected or I was dead. But from
You got to be kidding.
Yeah, I have a traumatic brain injury. I had a hole drilled in my skull with blood pressure. I broke my neck, my back. I had a fractured sternum, and I was wearing my seatbelt. I was induced into a coma for 3 months. I had to have a halo, metal gear. They drilled pins and stuff in my head.
Are you kidding me?
I had to learn how to walk, how to talk again. Doctors said I'd never be able to walk in without, you know, some kind of assistance, that I was almost going to be a crippled, you know. But I walk around fine. You know.
Doctors.
Yeah, yeah.
What do they fucking know?
but see, here's the thing, though. This was during the whole Purdue Pharmaceuticals and all that, when
Right.
they were just giving pain pills away, and I was getting all kinds of prescription narcotics, and I didn't know, you know, I didn't know that, you know, in my family that there was a history of addiction. Like, it was all hush hush. You know, I mean, Irish Catholics, you know what I'm saying? And, as long as everything looks good on the outside, you know, and everyone else sees you good, you know, you're all right.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. The presentation has to matter the most.
Yep.